Welcome to our final New York Giants Preservation Society meeting for 2024. Today is December 26th, and it's going to be a wrap-up video. Anybody who wants to talk will get a chance. I am going to go over all that we have gone through, accomplished, things like that this year, and some ideas on what we could do next year. And I have some preliminary meetings for 2025. First of all, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus, whatever it is you celebrate. Hope,
Hey, Glenn.
hope all is well. And the first thing I want to do is thank you all for coming tonight and thank the whole organization for all the support all year with this group. Um, very content with what we've done, and there's still a lot more to do. So we're gonna do that. Just kind of in the year in review. Uh, February, I went up to Cooperstown and spoke on behalf of the group, and then Rick Swig's son Adam got behind this whole project on 2424. And we all celebrated the greatest player ever, Willie Mays, on Willie Mays Appreciation Day. His birthday, we all had the whole month we celebrated Mays's birthday, and that was great. And then unfortunately he did pass away. And we were all heartbroken. We opened up the room. People in here spoke in June about him, and then we had a Mays Appreciation Day in July. At the end of May, I was fortunate enough to go out to San Francisco to speak at the Gotham Club about not only my book, but really about our group. And it was a pleasure being out there. It was just an amazing thing. And then a few weeks later, I was asked to come to this May celebration, and Rick was, I met Rick there for the first time, and Norm and I are now San Francisco buddies because I went out there twice. So it was just a fabulous time out there. Um, some of us were together texting each other when Norm's favorite pitcher, Blake Snell, no-hit the Cincinnati Reds. And despite all of that, it was a lot of fun. August, I was fortunate enough to see Pablo Sandoval. The only problem is he's playing, independent baseball out here on Long Island. But it was great seeing him, and I felt like I had to go to thank him for his part in the 3 world championships. So that was great. I believe by the end of the month, there's going to be an article that three of the New York Giant Preservation Society members contributed to, that John Shea wrote about the Game 1 of the 1954 World Series between the Giants and the Indians, and those 3 gentlemen witnessed probably the greatest defensive play in World Series history.
Joe Panic? No, I'm kidding.
No, Joe Panic, stop. As far as other things in the group, we are approaching 3,000 followers on Facebook, which is nice. We have 300 and almost 60 subscribers to our YouTube channel. This is our 41st Zoom this year, which is a great number, and I hope you found all of them rewarding. I love doing them. So as far as this coming year, January, we're all booked up. There will be a change in next week. We're going to have off unless what I say to you has any bearing on it that you might want to switch it. But February, we're all good. March, I'm working on, and March will be dedicated to the 2025 season. Roger Munter, I know, is on board to come on to speak about the Giants farm system. And then May, despite Willie not being here, we are going to honor him like we always have, and it'll be more of a remembrance than an actual birthday celebration. Um, Four things I want to discuss before I open it up. Every meeting we have before we turn it over to our guest speaker, I was thinking it's up to you guys. If anybody has any news they want to share with the group at that time, maybe we'll consider doing that instead of me talking all the time. Something to think about. I also thought maybe once a month, starting maybe later on in the year, we could have a sort of a me and the Giants where each one of us, we pick one guy a month, like Mars, for example. Mars would talk about how he got connected with the Giants and how it all started. And I think that might be a nice thing to get more people involved. I would set, one of the weeks in the month. Ed Laverner is going to talk about, his time with the Giants and why he's still a fan and how it all began. Again, these are just ideas. I am not the boss. Okay. So, I also thought that on our YouTube channel, there is a way for me to go live, and I just might turn it on one day and have like an open mic, and maybe there'll be other people interested in joining our group. And lastly, this symposium. Supposedly in April, the Giant Enterprises are going to be going to the Yankee game, and we're going to be doing something with that. But I'm thinking more on the lines because that's when they travel in, and they're on a very tight schedule that maybe we would consider having other people coming in when the Giants play the Mets. I believe that's July 31st. So these are all things I have thoughts about in my mind. Anybody want to talk, say anything you want, but those were some of the ideas that I had going on. But again, you guys are a great bunch of guys and gals, and it's a privilege and something I look forward to seeing you each week. And when guys return like Rick, it really puts a smile on my face because I haven't seen Rick in a long time. And he's out there, getting a nice tan. He looks good. Way to go, Rick. Norm, floor is yours.
Gary, well, I mean, you said that you were content with what we've done. I got to tell you, quite frankly, I'm not content.
Okay.
I'm overwhelmed. I'm thrilled. I'm emotional. What you've done and what we've done, I look forward to this every single week. Whenever we have this, I plan my life around this. Today I did my laundry. I'm cleaning my place so everything is all spick and span. I could come here with a clear mind and be part of this group. And I thank you for this, Gary, because I think maybe other people feel the same way in terms of what you've done. And you always have new ideas. I mean, you just came up with 4 new ideas here, and they're always good. You're inventive. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart before I give you my gripes. Because you asked for gripes also. And
Absolutely.
my gripes,
Norm, first of all, you guys make it nice and easy. And I get a wonderful feeling when you guys and girls are happy. I look forward to them too. And imagine the smile on Jim Mully's face when they actually start playing good baseball and we're in here and they're, competing for playoffs in the World Championship. What that's going to come, we got off to a late start, this group, as far as being in this Zoom. Imagine if we were in here in 2010. Could you imagine celebrating together? How great that would be. All right, Mr. Gripes, go ahead.
okay, my gripes and things to improve the group. Here they are. That's it.
Very, very nice. Thank you, Norm.
Well said, Norm.
Well said.
One of the
Yeah.
most wonderful things about this group is it brings back such great memories that we could relive the past and also enjoy the present and look forward to the future.
Most important thing is that we all are, try our best that we can to stay in good health, so we can do this for a long time. Because that's the ultimate goal, is to keep this going. I mean, think about it. The team has not existed since 1957, and there's interest here. We got people, Frank Sexton found us, joined us. I mean, new people coming in. It's a great thing. And Hindi, I'm working on some nice females to address our group, so don't worry. I I'm trying to get some different Giant beat writers, and I know Shayna Rubin. I try to get her. I try to get in touch with her. She's one of their beat writers, just to get a different viewpoint of what's going on with the team. And again, March is a New York group. There's no doubt about it. But there's so many people in here who root for the San Francisco Giants that, for 1 month prior to the baseball season starting, everybody gets excited. It's a new season and new beginnings, and hopefully good things ahead. So, Jim, go ahead.
Gary, I just want to say you're a first class guy. You put on one hell of a program, and I appreciate it personally. And I want to thank you for it. Great job.
That's very nice. I did this meeting not to take accolades, but thank you.
Well, it's important though. I know you put in a tremendous amount of work doing this. I've seen how Steve does it on our end here in Arizona, and I know it's something you dedicate a good portion of your life to, and I'm sure your family probably appreciates it too.
I don't know about that, but
great job. Thank you.
You're so welcome, Jim. And for those who don't know, Jim spends half of his life in Alaska. And that's the beauty of this group. When we were just having live meetings in New York City, it was like 3 or 4 times a year if we were lucky. And it was very hard getting guests. You had to have somebody who happened to be in New York at the time, and it usually revolved around the Giants playing the Mets. And since COVID, that we were able to go, Zooming and virtual, it's a whole new ball game, and it's what a horrible disease, or the disease, not the right word. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe it is.
I'm sorry?
Virus.
Maybe it is.
Virus. There you go. A horrible virus. And I'm not saying anything great came out of it, but this helped us get people, helped us get more people to tune in. We have 25, 30 people every week, which is it's nice. I didn't know how many people would show up today. It's a holiday and everybody's still busy, and people have their own stuff. But I thought it'd be nice just to wind down the year and talk about what's going on. So, Howard, you're up.
Yeah, Gary, I would just like to say that I enjoy being a member of this group. One person who I know would have really loved this group would be my father. I regret that he's no longer with us. He'd be 101 now, I think, if he was still alive, going on 102. But he was a Giant fan, as I've mentioned many times. As a kid, he would cut school and go to the Polo Grounds, and his favorite player was Hubble and Ott. And he would probably have stories to tell you. He went to so many games. And then later on in life, after I was born and, reached age where I can go out of the house a little bit, he would take me to see the Mets at the Polo Grounds play the Giants. He was so excited to see Willie again appear, in the Polo Grounds. He's with a uniform that said San Francisco on it rather than New York. But he would have definitely loved this group. And I'm glad I have a little connection with San Francisco, having family out there. It's too bad they no longer live in San Francisco itself. My daughter and her husband actually moved originally near Golden Gate Park. So we were actually in the city. We went to some games at whatever the stadium was called back then, not before Oracle. It was a
Candlestick?
No, not Candlestick. Never got to. I went to Candlestick way back in the 1970s on a freezing cold August night wearing a T-shirt. And I almost walked out of there with pneumonia, even though I knew stories about Candlestick at night. And that was when the Giants were bad. I remember we saw them play the Pirates, and the stadium had maybe 10,000 people on a weeknight in August, which was a beautiful night except for the cold. No rain, nothing. But I just want to say that my father, he would be sitting among you guys yapping away. Gary, you'd have to probably pull a plug on him after a while. He would talk so much. So I think of him a lot. And so I'm very grateful to be part of this group. And I think about my father every week when I'm here, thinking how much he would have loved it. So anyway, that's my shtick for tonight. And, wish everybody a happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Hanukkah. We got the candles going right now. Right outside the other side of the store, we got the Hanukkah menorah going. So, it's nice to be here tonight. I almost forgot about it, to be honest with you, because it's the holiday. But it's nice to be here with all you guys today.
No problem. And echoing what you said about your father, I mean, when I went to that Willie Mays celebration of life, Norm was with me and we signed in. And I had to sign my father's name on the thing because he meant so much to me with following the Giants that I had to sign his name on there was this big, I forgot a greetings thing or whatever you're supposed to sign, write something to Willie Mays, and I wrote my name and his name.
And I'm glad I met Willie. My father never met him in person, so that's something I beat my father to. I met Willie at some memorabilia shows, although he saw him play many more times than I did. But he'd be looking down. He might be looking down right now at us. That's the way he was.
I'm glad you remember him so fondly. Ed, you're up. Ed, you're muted.
I certainly want to join in with all the praise, but I was thinking earlier that we could reflect a little bit on the polo grounds. And Steve mentioned a couple months ago about the speedway entrance to the polo grounds. I knew nothing about that. My way to get to the polo grounds was from the Grand Central Station. You took the Lexington Avenue Express. I believe it's called the D train now, but you had to switch to a local. And there was a sign there that said transfer for polo grounds. Might be a good sign for your back room if you could find it from the Subway Museum. But the reason I bring that up, because reflecting on my trips to Wrigley Field, I would take what they call there the red train and then it becomes an overhead train as it gets to Wrigley. And as you walk down the steps from the L, the outside of Wrigley Field reminded me tremendously of the polo grounds. If you looked at it, and even today, you can just see the reflections. They were both built at the same time. In New York, we didn't want to preserve anything. We often frequently changed things. But at the time they were getting ready to tear down the polo grounds, they'd also torn down a big swath of what they call Spanish Harlem to put up Lincoln Center. And there were things going on. They were tearing down the old Penn Station. But until Jackie Kennedy got involved, there wasn't much preserving. The reason I bring this up is at the time they were taking the polo grounds down and removing Spanish Harlem, maybe there could have been another plan, and I guess maybe we're just as old as Wrigley Field, to preserve something like the polo grounds. But all I'm saying is like a dream, but that's what Robert Moses, they were doing a lot of things. I guess there was no hope, but I did want to reflect on that. But the last comment I want to make, because things do change, I looked up on the current pictures of the outside of Wrigley Field, and this wall that I'm talking about, the outside that reflected the polo grounds as you exited the L, they put up what do they call it? A
marker?
No marker. They took down the wall and put up a betting facility.
Oh, great.
So, which is I just don't like seeing things like that, and I can imagine it's going to happen to the Mets too. But they got a bookie place now where that is. But they took down the statues of the ball players, and that's where modernism is. And I guess I'm getting a little cranky as I'm getting older. But I just wanted anybody that wanted to reflect on that is something I wanted to bring to the club's attention.
You mentioned the statues. Just
a couple of them.
for the people in San Francisco, Charles and Russ and Rick and Norm, on January 30th, William Behrens will be addressing our group. He
Oh,
is
wow.
he is the sculptor who did all of the statues
Oh, okay.
outside of Oracle Park. And for the Met fans here, Howard, he's the one who did Tom Seaver. So
I have his autograph in my collection.
I'm sorry?
I have his autograph in my collection.
Well, now you could actually see him and talk about this. It'll be a lot different from our normal, hey, what's going on with the Giants? I think that'll be a great talk. And Russ could certainly use that with his tours about San Francisco to give him some more information.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Can you repeat the date on that, please?
It's January 30th.
Okay, thank you.
So he was like, "How the hell did you find me?" And I was like, "Your phone number's on Facebook." I called him up, and he's a great guy. So, Frank, you are up.
Yeah, I was listening to Howard's comments, and I think they could mirror probably just about every person on this call tonight. Memories usually of their fathers and the Polo Grounds. I mean, so much of this is really members of our families and our friends that we miss from that time. From what I can piece together, my first trip to the Polo Grounds is when I was 6 years old in 1954, when my father took me to a night game. The Giants were playing the Dodgers. And I remember my dad pointing out Jackie Robinson to me, whose skin against the green grass that was illuminated by the lights was just, it was so dark. It really made an impression. And he said, whatever you do, try to remember that you saw that man. But we don't like him. Why don't we like him? Well, he's with the Dodgers. We don't like the Dodgers. Why don't we like, the questions a 6-year-old would ask. And so, yeah, whenever I hear all of this, I find myself missing my father. But as far as the group goes, I've been in the group now about 4 months, and I don't know. It's the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The way it hums along and the way everything fits together, I think is damn near perfect. I think the only suggestion I would make, Gary, maybe to take some of the labor off you, is once in a while, if one of the members wants to come forward and offer to prepare, an evening talking about some obscure fact involving the Giants, I think the only thing that might hold us back is many of the folks here are not that literate when it comes to sharing a screen and putting things on the hard drive so that you could have like a PowerPoint presentation. Maybe they could, I don't know. But just a suggestion, if anybody is particularly hot to talk about any particular obscure player from the mid 50s, that might be fun.
Yeah, I'm all this is, I think you guys know me enough. This is no dictatorship. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to procure educational, informative, entertaining stuff regarding the Giants, and anybody who has any ideas, feel free. So thanks, Frank. Thanks for finding us too.
Yeah, on Facebook, by the way.
There you go.
And on YouTube.
Mars, you're up.
Well, my memories, I don't remember going to the game in 1949. I know my parents took me to a game there. And at the time, then my pop bought me, I guess I was around 2 years old, the pants and the jersey and the socks of the New York Giants. And the number on the back was 25. This was before Willie Mays was brought up. And that was Whitey Lockman's number. He played center field and then was moved to first when they brought up Willie Mays. But when my great-grandfather came here from Belarus, from Minsk, they bought a brownstone on 106th Street between 5th and Madison. And at the time, the Giants were playing in the original site of the north end of Central Park. And my father was born in that brownstone. And then, of course, time passed, and I guess most of us, 99% of us, root for the same team our fathers rooted for. There are, very few exceptions to that. We're brought into that fold, and we become dyed-in-the-wool Giant fans. And the memories of going to the Polo Grounds, living in Inwood Hill Park, it's just like brings back so many beautiful memories that this organization brings forward. And it's just very touching. I appreciate it so much. I look forward to it every week. Thank you.
Thank you, Morris. When I was out in San Francisco, I'm sitting there addressing the Gotham Club, and then I'm there amazed, and I'm saying to myself, like, how the hell did I get here? That's been my thing. It's like this, Mars first mentioned about you root for the team, your father. If you love your father, which I'm sure most of us, unless, God forbid something happens, but I mean, you want to be like your father. So I wanted to be like my father.
Yeah.
So that's how I became, a Giant fan. But like I said, I'm sitting out there in San Francisco, and I'm like, how did this all happen? And again, the group is not here to just sit here and reminisce. A major part of it, but there are things that can get done, and some things I've tried 3 or 4 times. I'll try 5 or 6 times to get them done, and a lot of you guys know what it is. There's some things here in at the Polo Ground site. There's a thing or two in San Francisco. So I mean, I'm not gonna give up. I mean, there'll be maybe a few months go by where I'll just stop and say, "Hey, I don't understand." Not even getting a response, and then I'll get refueled a few months later, and then I'll send it out again. That's all. Judge.
Gary, first I want to look back a little bit, then look forward if we can. But first, looking back, I had a chance to go to Cooperstown and listen to Gary's presentation. And Gary won't say it, but if you haven't read the book yet, you have to read Gary's book. It's terrific. And I took my my nephew and my son-in-law to listen to Gary in Cooperstown. And on the way home, all I heard was he's a brother from another mother, because they had never met a passionate Giants fan before, other than me. So it was good. And then also looking back, I just want you all to know who were there that night that I did invite Johnny Antonelli's grandson and son-in-law to when we look back at the 54 series. And his grandson just came up to me last week and just told me how much he enjoyed this group and that night. Here's someone who, I mean, he's too young to obviously remember anything about Johnny playing. He's read about it, heard about it. But to hear from people who saw him and followed those teams, it meant a lot to him, and it was real, and he enjoyed listening to you and hearing about it. And then finally, looking forward, we play April 11th, 12th, and 13th, the Yankees. I assume I'm going to be heading that way with a carload of Yankee fans. So if any of you are going to be there, let's get some seats so I can get away from them for a few minutes and talk with the Giants fans. So, Gary, I don't know if you're going to buy a block of tickets, or if you think about that, or if you're going to do a symposium around them, but I'd certainly be interested. I'll probably head over there in April, and then maybe also for the Mets series at the end of July, that is 25, 26, and 27. So if there's going to be a symposium around it, might plan around that.
I think the Mets are July 31st.
I think it's 25, 26, 27.
I'll have to, well, we know it's in July, so
yeah. But
we'll definitely think about that. Anybody else have any comments? Anybody want to say anything?
I do, Gary.
Bill, who said that?
I'll go last.
Who said I do?
Rich Glazer.
Rich. Oh, I don't see you. That's why. Go ahead, Rich.
What do I do?
Your video's not on.
Oh, speak anyway.
We hear you.
Okay.
It should be at the bottom of your screen. It says video with a line through it. If you click on that line, your video will show. If you can't, you could just,
Let me try it.
you could just talk then. It's fine. There you are.
Right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of other guys, my dad got me interested in the Giants when I was a little kid, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. By 9, I was like ecstatic with that playoff run. And when I watched Bobby Thompson hit that home run, I was never so excited in my life, to a point where I said, I actually made a life decision that I had to get somehow into sports in some way in my life so that I could capture the fun that I had that day. And it wasn't long before I got myself into the local Little League in Forest Hills, Queens. I managed to be an all-star twice. Eventually, I got to be a two varsity sport player in high school, a college pitcher. And then I spent 20 years on a national travel team playing softball. And now I'm in my 28th year as a baseball umpire locally here in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. But if somebody asked me, how did I get here? It was Bobby Thompson's home run that got me here. It just changed my life. And I knew that I had to get into sports somehow. Professionally, I became a sports agent. I represented hundreds of players for a 25-year period. And it set me up for life. I'm very happy to be part of this group, although, as Gary knows, because of my umpiring schedule, I don't have time during the season to get on your Zoom call, which I thoroughly enjoy. But now, certainly, it's too cold here in New Jersey at 25, 30 degrees. So I'm glad to be part of the group tonight. I enjoy listening to all the stories. And I found that a lot of the lives that other people live were very similar to my own beginning. And again, thank you, Bobby Thompson, for hitting that home run, because it changed my life for the better.
Renee, you want to add anything? Stop crying, Renee.
No, not really. I think what little I've heard, because I got on late, I get the gist.
Oh, by the
Thank
way,
you.
Gary,
Yes.
at one point when I was in that 6-7-year-old period, I asked my father why we were Giant fans, and he said, because we're Irish. And I said, what does that mean? I had a vague idea that his parents had come from Ireland, but in those days, most of the immigrant Irish New Yorkers rooted for the Giants because of John J. McGraw.
Yeah.
And that is how the Sextons became Giant fans.
Hey, Rich, where'd you go to high school?
Syosset High School on Long Island.
Oh, sure, I know it. I went to Jamaica High in Queens.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Forest Hills, and there, just a couple of blocks or a couple of miles away from us.
Mrs. Mays or Miss King, you're up.
Well, it was my brother was 10 years older than me, and he got me. We lived in Brooklyn, and we were Giants fans. And it was my brother Seymour who got me to be a big Giants fan. And I'm older than most of you, than all of you. So the 1951 Giants were like, I'll never forget it. And I know I'm one of the few women here, but I love the Giants. I love the Mets, of course, as you know. I love baseball. I love going to Cooperstown for many years with my husband, and we got to know Willie there and a lot of the players. And I just want to tell you that I don't know as much as the rest of you about everything, but I take notes in my notebook, and I have learned so much from these meetings. So, Gary, I want to thank you.
Hindi, we love you, first of all. And for the people who don't know Hindi, we refer to her as Mrs. Mays because she's was one of Willie's biggest fans and has all of these buttons for Willie. So Hindi is very beloved in our group, and we love her. So,
Gary, thank you for a great organization and for wonderful meetings.
Thank you so much. Russ, you are up.
Well, I just wanted to say one of the highlights for my year was meeting you in person, Gary, when you came out to speak to the Gotham Club group, meeting Norm. Also was able to connect a little friendship with Marty Lurie, which has kind of extended. We're kind of email pals, sending each other obscure names back and forth just to identify. So that's become really fun. And then also being able to give you a tour. So that was a lot of fun. I have my Giants, New York Giants Preservation Society, which I wear on my lanyard thing, and talk about the group all the time when I get a chance, especially around the trophies. So it's been fun being part of the group this year, and hopefully I'll be a little bit more present in 25.
Russ, thanks. And it was a pleasure meeting you. And I love the picture of you and I together. I have.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Bill, go ahead, Bill.
And with Will Clark too.
Yes. Bill, go ahead.
Well, Will Clark certainly gave us a thrill in January, I believe, when we think back to, his taking time off, to the end of a long day hunting. What he did, that was that was a special time. I'll take you back to a special time in 1960. My father was a computer salesman then. He started at the bottom in the 50s with a small computer company and ended up running a couple of timeshare companies at the end. But back then he was a commission-based salesman, which meant when he took a day off, he didn't make any money. And he took a day off in 1960 to stand in line to buy tickets for the first game ever at Candlestick Park. And that's me and my dad. I'm the guy with the dorky glasses on the left of the screen there. And a buddy of mine who later went on to play basketball at Navy and became a naval officer is the guy in the middle. And Dad stood in line. My mom took the picture. And, going to that game, that got my interest in baseball. Many of you remember back then something, Captain Obvious. We all remember 45 records. Some of us remember 78 speed records, but the 45s, and I'm not talking about the ones with, with songs and, great recording artists and all that, because I'll give you two cases. One guy was not a very good recording artist, Danny Kaye. He did the Dodgers song. And the guy next door, even though he was a Giants fan, bought that record. And we had to listen to that record with Danny Kaye singing about the Giants. It was about the Dodgers, rather. And it was hard to stomach. I hope he threw it away. I don't think he has it. But either my mom or dad got me another record. And it was even better, much better. It was the San Francisco Giants fight song. And I'm not good a cappella. My wife tells me to sing lower in church, so low that people can't hear me. But I will give you two things. One, I'll give you the San Francisco Giants fight song. And then for Mars, because I know he's a 49ers, a long-suffering 49ers fan, I'll give him the San Francisco 49ers fight song. Go, you Giants, Giants, roll on. Go get another victory today. Fight, fight, go at it. Oh, I'm sorry. That was the 49ers. Beat the drums. Here they come. Here they come. The San Francisco Giants. What a team. They're supreme. They're the cream. Our San Francisco Giants. When the ump shouts, okay, let's play ball. Oh, beware you Dodgers, Braves, and all, 'cause they can suck, and they can rock, and they can hit that old pill from noon to Nob Hill, from Candlestick to the Empire State, and flying high at Candlestick, the flag of fame, a waving glory for our Giants, the one and only Giants, the finest in our nation's game. Now listen, friends, while we recall the names of Giants in history of baseball. Frank, there was John McGraw. His teams were thrilling. In baseball's annals, he has to have top billing. When the ump shots, no, I thought I had it. No, I stumbled there. I'm not a recording artist.
Take a breath and go on.
When there was trouble, they'd call for Hubble. Well, there was no greater dish, no one greater at the dish than the Fortinflas fish. We remember Mel Ott for the runs that he got. And to long George Kelly, any fence was just a load of wood to hit a ball against. Now, Madison, Lindstrom, Schumacher, O'Doul, Terry, and Moore, and many guys, too numerous to mention. They've since gone out on pension from that giant land of days gone by. Go, you Giants. That's 1960. I had it memorized at one time.
It's marvelous, marvelous.
Hey, Bill,
Your rendition was superb, superb.
Well, I stumbled after I talked about McGraw.
I never heard any of that before.
I've never heard
That's
any
a
of
new
it
one
either.
on me.
I've never heard it at all.
Tony Bennett and Frank Sinatra are rolling in their grave right now.
Well, they are, but there's nobody knocking at the door with a recording contract. I can tell you that. Now, Mars, this is for you. I started it.
I took off my hearing aid.
Go, you 49ers, roll on. Go get another victory today. Fight, go out and cross that goal line. Make another score. Your colors, cardinal and silver, flying on high. Lead the way to victory as you do or die. Go, you 49ers, San Francisco will win today.
Well, Bill, I used to
Bill.
be actually. I was a New York Giant football fan until the Niners started to got Joe Montana in 1980, and I went to the first game that Montana played because I think Steve DeBerg was injured, and Montana drove him downfield 4 times. They didn't score a touchdown, but Wershing kicked 4 field goals, and they beat the New York Giants 12-0.
I got to tell you, I hope you guys don't get mad at me. I root for the New York Giants, which is just they're but they have won 4 Super Bowls. Despite that, the greatest game I ever saw was the three-peat game where Matt Barr kicked the field goals.
Oh,
that was just an incredible football game from beginning to end. It was. Sorry, 49er fans, but that to me that was the greatest game I've ever seen, football-wise. So.
Did you watch the sudden death overtime game against the Baltimore Colts?
No, I wasn't born. I'm sorry.
Hey, Bill, I forgot about that song, and I got to tell you, absolutely loved it. And I'll tell you something else, Bill. I have the Danny Kaye song. I had doctored it so the Giants won. I will send it to you.
Oh, thank you. No, that's very kind.
That song needs to go somewhere. I never heard. I know the KSFO song.
Yeah, the KSFO
great
song.
But that was a great song, Bill.
Well, and it didn't get much recording play. And I bought it, listened to it so many times. I didn't memorize much as a 5th or 6th grader, but I memorized that song until I.
Bill, this will be on YouTube. You never know when that recording contract might happen.
What's the name of what's the title of that song, Bill? What's the title of it and who sang it? Do you know?
San Francisco Giants fight song, as far as I know, and I don't know. Don't know who actually did. I had some notes about that one time. An announcer who was. On one of a national announcer, I got his name. He supposedly knew about it. Well, anyhow, he did write and tell me who recorded it and who had the rights to it. Somebody has the rights to that. I'm not about to, Judge, I'm going to have to rely on you for some legal help here if I try to record this thing and, get into copyright infringement things here. So.
Mr. Superfan, go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, actually, I have stuff over my Giants collection over my back shoulder, and I found, this is when I became a fan, which was 1978, the original record for I'm a Believer in Giants Fever.
Oh yeah.
But I do remember when they did have that song on, it was either KSFO or KMBR, like back in 78, 79, they would play that song.
The 49er song?
No.
The
Giants song.
The Giants song, really?
Yeah.
They
The
resurrected.
Bye Bye
what-
Baby song was the best one, I believe.
Norm, do you
When
know
the
the
Giants
exact
come to
name of that
town.
song?
Yeah.
I don't. But I do know that they played that song before Giants games in the early 60s. I remember that's why I remember the song. It was a great
Because
song.
I remember it in like the late 70s. I don't know why.
Well,
but
the
I
late
do.
70s would have been late 70s, 78, because the Giants were decent in 78 after a couple of bad years.
That's
So,
why I became a fan.
you know, that might have been why it was
That one decent
popular.
year, and it hooked me.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was recorded by anybody famous. I always thought it like a commercial jingle type song that was made by some kind of a company that did that kind of stuff.
Well, what about the Bye Bye Baby song? When was that written?
That was
When
early.
the Giants come to
early.
town, Bye Bye Baby.
That was probably 62 or so, because I have a book. I think one of the Giants win the pennant in 1962, and on the inside liner, inside notes, or the inside cover, they have the lyrics and the musical score for that particular song. So I'd say maybe 62, because it quotes, Russ Hodges' "Bye Bye Baby" and KSFO, and so
Well, that was
kind of-
Lon Simmons. That was Lon Simmons' Bye Bye Baby.
Lon.
No, Lon Simmons
Russ
was
Hodges.
"Tell It Goodbye."
Tell It Goodbye.
Russ Hodges was
Russ
"Bye Bye
Hodges.
Baby."
Right.
Yeah.
Ed,
They
go
didn't
ahead,
step
Ed.
on each other's lines.
I just wanted to give credit, Gary, to the Giants football, because they still have on their stadium circle New York Football Giants. And I like it whenever I see that on the
I
stadium.
like it, but I'm not sure they play football these days. God. They are brutal. Oh, that's the whole thing. I was all, disappointed in baseball, and I look forward to football, and I can't believe I enjoy watching football, and I watch every Sunday, but I don't know what I'm watching.
They're on watch.
If you watch the Kansas City Chiefs, Mahomes, a great all-around team, and the Baltimore quarterback, Lamar Jackson, another great quarterback. They're fun to watch, and Buffalo, the Buffalo Bills, they're fun to watch, I would like to see them finally win a Super Bowl, Buffalo Bills.
So would they.
Yeah.
By the way, I was sent this card. It's very nice. Peace on Earth.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's
Willie
nice.
and his dog, I guess. Or
Oh.
Who sent that to you, Gary?
Renee from who Willie who was Willie's aide. She sent me
Oh,
this.
cool.
Gary,
Yes.
Rich,
Yeah.
I'm holding up a picture I keep on my desk.
Yep.
Really playing stickball in Harlem.
Oh, yeah.
And we went to that exact spot a few years back to celebrate our group.
Are we going to meet there again in 2025 at the Polo Grounds, Gary?
If we have that symposium, it would be on that Friday before the game. So
I'd like to
we're
fly in.
gonna see how things iron out, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. What symposium are you referring?
Originally, we were going to try to do it like a 2-day symposium. Giant Enterprises is now involved, and they are on a tight schedule. So we're going to see how that works out. But if it doesn't work out exactly for everybody with what has to be done or whatever, we might do something in July when the Giants come in to play the Mets. We do 2 things that'd be wonderful. Giant Enterprise is a great group. That's a group that does travel, and they go around to cities, but they're on a strict, schedule. So they're going to see the Yankees when the Giants play the Yankees, the people who belong to that group. So maybe something the day before, and it's the same thing with the Mets. So
that's part of the Giants vacation group?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
So
Bye Bye Baby was 1962.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it though for Lon Simmons' call? Bye Bye Baby?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No,
No,
the Polo Grounds, Russ Hodges would say bye bye,
Simmons.
baby.
No.
Lon Simmons was "Tell It Goodbye."
Goodbye. Yeah. Sorry. Tell it goodbye. Gary, is there a date on that picture that you got of Willie Mays? Of like
No,
what
it's just it's a card, no date. It's Willie's wearing a Santa hat, and the dog there must be his dog. I don't know.
Rick, do you see that picture there?
Rick's muted. Rick, do you want to talk? You're muted right now.
I mean, Rick.
There you go.
I'm slow. I'm slow. I don't know what dog that is.
No, but look at the picture with the hat, the Santa hat. Where you have pictures where he's wearing the same thing.
Yeah, I have those. I have those photos of him just with the Santa hat. I don't know if they're dated though.
Are those the Santa Ana winds that you can't hear well because they're blowing in your ear?
No, it's my dog in the background who's barking at me because he's bored with this conversation.
I'm sorry.
He's barking. He's not a baseball fan. She's not a baseball fan, clearly.
Gary, I have a picture I'd like to show. I hope it comes through clearly.
Sure.
Oh, he's with his bats.
Very nice.
Yeah.
It says New York Giants 24 at the Polo Grounds. Yeah, I'm trying to get it so there's no reflection.
That's
There you
good.
go. That's
Yep.
good.
That's good.
Cool.
If I may, the way I became a Giant fan was also through my dad, who also lived in Brooklyn and was a Giant fan. He taught me all about baseball, how to play it, what was important. And when he taught me about the Giants, he taught me about the history, John McGraw, Christy Mathewson. And when a guy had a nickname, like Carl Hubble was King Carl Hubble.
The
and
meal ticket.
Freddie Fitzsimmons was Fat Freddie Fitzsimmons. He always included their nickname. And one of the things I love about this group is that it makes me think of my dad. And
That's a lot of us feel that way, Jeff. I think that's great.
yeah.
Did he ever talk about the big four in the 1930s? Schumacher, Hubble, Fat Freddie Fitzsimmons, and Leroy Pomeroy, where the Giants scored very few runs and wound up beating the Senators in the World Series.
He
in
spoke about
1933.
he spoke about all of them, and people who aren't Giant fans really don't understand the history and have the feeling for the history like we do. It's
Yeah, that's one of my, as close as I was to my father, I should have asked him a lot more questions.
Well,
And it's
we can all say that about a lot of subjects.
right.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot who said they would have loved this group. My dad would be eating this stuff up.
Yeah, mine too.
It's just, it's unfortunately that's how I think it was Howard who said that. It is what it is, and anybody else have anything they want to say, or?
When I was a young kid at school, maybe if I didn't do that well, but I knew Mel Ott hit 511 home runs.
Yes.
So that's what was important to me.
Yeah.
Bill Terry was the last National League player to hit 400.
Right.
I remember when Willie hit 512. I remember when Willie hit 512.
One of my greatest things was in the 80s. I was working or something, and I spoke to my father, and Dad, what'd you do today? And he went to a Met Giant doubleheader. And I said, what did you do? He goes, I went to the game. I said, are you kidding? He goes, they needed me. That's how my father was.
That's how the way I got to know the Giants was the big four: Mel Ott, Bill Terry. He named obscure players like Huey Kritz, told me about Dick Bartell, and Shanty Hogan, and Gus Mancuso, all these, because he worked as a vendor there. And one day the ball boy got sick for the Cubs, and so he was the ball boy, and he told the Cubs manager, the Giants are going to beat the pants off of you today. And the manager chased him around the field, and that was the end of his days as a ball boy.
Gary,
Yes.
it's Rich.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I just wanted to. My love of Willie Mays all these years has brought me to. I celebrate Willie Mays every single day. I wear this hoodie, Birmingham Black Barons, which was the Negro League team that Willie started out on.
Very nice.
Yeah, to me sure.
Rick, what is your background now?
What do I do now?
No, not you. Rick Swig. I'm sorry. Rick, what is your background?
B.B. King's hands.
Who is it?
B.B. King.
Very nice.
One parting memory here. You've seen that photograph of Willie Mays coming out of the visitors clubhouse at the Polo Grounds when the Giants returned to the Polo Grounds, and all of the kids are up on the parapet waving at him, and he's tipping his hat. I was in that crowd.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I've scanned it many times to see if I could see myself, but I must have been too far back. But now I kind of look upon that as, yeah.
Frank, one of the guys
I look
in the
upon
group
that now as being a Cemetery Ridge at Gettysburg or something like that.
One of the guys in the group, Frank, is helping hold a sign that says "Stay Team Stay."
Well, that was when that was the last game.
September 29th,
Yeah.
1957.
Right.
Yes. So
This was in, I guess it would have been probably April or May of '62 when the Mets started and the Giants came back, because the Polo Grounds was just packed. It was packed.
I was there for
Well,
the day game.
for the Mets outdrew the Yankees that year, and in '62, but out of the something like 1.1 million that the Mets drew, I think 900,000 was for the Giants and Dodger games. It was something like that.
We
Not
were
quite
hurting.
that.
We were hurting.
anybody else before we wrap it up? So we're going to get together again on January 9th. There'll be no meeting next week. And then we have all of January taken care of, all of February, working on March, working on April and May. We're gonna get some really special people to hopefully talk about Willie Mays. So,
And you're gonna send that out
I have 4 or 5 people in mind who I'd love to hear them speak on Willie's behalf. So, we all know he passed away in July, but I don't think anybody here really thinks he's not with us. So it's just,
He's still with us.
the Giants
Here.
the Giants synonymous with Willie Mays. And
He'll always be with us.
and he's always, he's the reason why this group's here. I think everybody knows that. So
Mhm.
anyway, Happy New Year, everybody. And again, like I said when I first opened this up, thanks for all the support. And let's keep this thing going.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Gary.
And, I appreciate all of that, and let's just keep this thing going. And let's have a great
Happy
year
New Year,
together,
everyone.
one full of peace and happiness. All right. I'm gonna
and more wins.
and more win. I'm
Starting
gonna
pitcher.
shut
And
this
more
off.
players.
Above 500.
If anybody
And a
wants to
couple of
talk about
starting pitchers.
if anybody wants to talk about the Giants, I'm shutting this down. This way it'll be off the cuff. So let me shut this down. Good night, everybody. I'll hang around a little if you want.